Can I actually hope that my brain will be rewired? And he says, I can hope for that. Hello, this is July 1st, the first day that I went to treatment, and I'd like to share with you aspects of the day. My goal is to share a video journal. It is Monday. I woke up at a motel, wasn't looking forward to getting up. I think it's just, I just rather lay in bed. Once I showered, I was more raring to go, and then actually got to the point where, okay, I really want to meet my therapist. There'll be 3 meetings on each day that I'm there, one being a group meeting, I found out. During the second hour, I was able to meet with my therapist. His name is John, and I like him. When I'm going through the exposures to uncomfortable aspects, things I find disturbing, he will not give me positive, what's the word, reinforcement. Like, you've done this before, you're doing great, you'll get through it, there's nothing to worry about. That is something that they do not do there. It's, if anything, it's basically, for instance, if someone's afraid of contamination like a doorknob, the fear that that person will get sick or die, these assistants will not say, you're not going to die, you'll be perfectly fine. No. They want to basically have us embrace the uncertainty. Will you die? I don't know. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Will you get sick? I don't know. You might get sick, you might not. For someone like me, it's naturally disturbing. I have relied on people, mainly my mom, for a long time, contacting her. Do I need to worry about this or that? And I tend to ask the same questions over and over again. So I guess that's proof that doesn't necessarily work, or does not work very well. One other thing that John wants me to do, write down some things in case there are some dark moments, to remind myself that it's worth fighting for. So, there you have it. It's day 1. I'm a little nervous because it's hard to picture me not doing some of the things, just giving up and allowing things to be dirty and not doing anything about it, not washing my hands. Can I actually hope that my brain will be rewired? And he says, I can hope for that. The assistant he said something like he didn't want, essentially he didn't want people to think that once this is done, you're cured. That there still will be struggles and such. So, which I would anticipate that would be true. That they would give me tools to work on those things. But I don't want it to be okay, I have the tools, but go through hell every day. But I got the tools and I can overcome. I'm hoping for relief. And John did think it could become natural, uh, um, a new way of thinking, and that's what I'm hoping. So that was day one. This is a quick supplement to day one. That I thought of some other things that happened for July 1st. I was also told that on Fridays is a family or friend day where I can actually have a family and or friends there. I don't know if it can only be one person or what, but actually they're helping, maybe even understanding what's going on. There for moral support, perhaps. With John, my actual therapist, I'm really liking him. So we're making a game plan, if you will, of the contamination stuff. So we have here, I wrote down notes, neutralizing, I didn't spell it correctly, behaviors worksheet. He had this on his board, writing down, I wanted to write it down as well. We went over the threat that I perceive with my contamination, which is others or myself will become contaminated. And what is the core fear? What am I worried about that's going to happen? Well, I'm worried it's going to spread. I'm not worried anyone's going to get sick or die. It's strange to me. It's so real to me, but when I try to self-analyze it, define it, in that aspect, I am uncertain. But it's the core fear is not uncertainty, like, uh-oh, am I or someone else can get sick type of thing. So he altered that. The core fear is catastrophic contamination spreads. Just an awful feeling for me. And for instance, if I was worried my hand was contaminated, touch a doorknob, okay, that's dirty. Now someone else opens the door there, uh-oh, their hand is contaminated. But then after that, it doesn't end there. They'll go and they'll open their fridge. Now that's contaminated. And they handle some money. That's contaminated. That's the train of thought, logic that my mind has. Often avoid skin contact with things I want to keep clean. Thus, I may use like a plastic bag, a sandwich bag, as a quick glove, if you will, to handle things. That sort of thing. I'll avoid sitting down often because I'm worried my slacks or my shorts are contaminated and I don't want to get the seat dirty and have someone else sit there and then it spread, that sort of thing. Then there's secondary avoidance. So we had the primary avoidance and secondary avoidance. So secondary, I think he basically said it's like, okay, well, usually you do the other things, but in like a, okay, if I have to touch something, or I get to the point where, you know, there's like no options, like I need to get through that door or something, what happens? If it's one of those where it's not a knob, but it goes and it like has a little thing at the end, I use what he coined minimalistic strategic skin contact. So I touch the area of the handle that I think people generally don't touch. They, they have here, it goes like that, and I go like right there. So I realize, okay, there's planning or prepping beforehand, i.e., I grab a number of wipes and put them in a baggie in my pocket. So, that's not uncommon. And probably even more common than that, I bring a bar of soap around with me. I'm like a O.C.D. Boy Scout, be prepared, basically. Even though handling a doorknob isn't, in a real case scenario, as dangerous as a grizzly bear coming right at you, it still feels like a devastating thing that needs to be addressed for someone like me. I don't think I'd call it a philosophy, but their technique is, okay, we change those things, the things you avoid. Now, as I put it in, you take that threat head on. Instead of avoiding it, you will be touching that doorknob. We're going to be using things called hook statements, which are basically when the worry comes, and I don't know if someone like me is trying to think it through, like, well, is there anything to worry about? Or maybe if I'm trying to say, okay, there isn't anything to worry about. Now, basically, the hook statement is maybe there is something to worry about, maybe there's not. I can't say for sure. They seem to really be pushing the uncertainty. It was a good day at the facility. I do enjoy meeting with my therapist. I noticed that in group therapy he seemed kind of animated, which was a bit akin to me. He's lively and enjoyable to communicate with. So there you have it. All right, thank you. Hello, day 3, July 3rd. Today was my first day of exposures. They start light, something I wouldn't have picked. It's basically handling rocks and then going in and shaking people's hands. So we went outside, handled rocks. We went back inside, knock on doors where there was, and I shake hands with other assistants, other people going through various therapies, that sort of thing. It really didn't give me too much angst. First 2 hours were basically exposures, lean back where I would be sitting. Generally, I often avoid doing such a thing, though I did get a spike of anxiety, coughed in both of the crooks of my arms, I guess that's what you call them, and I touched the crook of my right arm. That brought a spike of anxiety, and I would step with my shoe on various places to sit. I feel the ground is contaminated. And I decided on my own I would sit in those areas where I actually stepped. So, a very interesting day.